What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined as always by my dad, Sean, and today, reactions to the classics. We're bringing you another top 10 list. This time, focusing on, I know, one of your favorites, Dad.
Exactly.
We got John Mellencamp. I know you're familiar with all but one song on this list. I think I only know two songs on this list.
And those are the two I brought you in a song battle
That's right.
a long time ago.
So that'll be cool to kind of, we haven't had a list like that where one of us knew like all the tracks and the other didn't really know any of them. So this will be cool. This comes courtesy of our longtime supporter and friend of the channel, Mr. Rich, coming up in here with this list. And he said about the list, most of his best songs are within 4 albums. Although I like many of his other albums, they're just a little short of consistent material and are filled with songs in the next tier, 11 through 20, if you will.
Exactly. And before we get into the top 10 list itself, if you like this video, hit the big thumbs up. It really helps us out. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We do top 10 lists, song reactions, album reviews, album reactions, live streams, you name it. We do it here. Also, check out the Patreon link below if you want us to do a top 10 list for you like we're doing for Rich. Album reactions, song reaction, or supports in any way. It's the patrons, Trey, that keep this thing running.
Right, man.
Check out the social media below, especially that Facebook group and Discord. All that to say, Trey, here's Sean's research a little bit on John. He had 22 top 40 hits in the U.S. In addition, he holds the record for the most tracks by a solo artist to hit #1 on the hot mainstream rock charts with 7. He has been nominated for 13 Grammys. He's only won 1 of those. He's one of the founding members of Farm Aid, started in 1985 to raise awareness about the loss of family farms and to raise funds to keep farm families on their land.
Shout out Uncle Neil, man.
Uncle Neil, I think Willie was involved in that too. They've done it every year for 35 years. As of 2020, they've raised over $57 million. And one thing I think is very important and very, very rare, he was inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2008 and into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2018. That rare double.
Yeah, that is very impressive whenever they get both in there. That Songwriters Hall of Fame is some esteemed company for sure.
It definitely is. We're going to have the lyrics pulled up. The music will not be in the video due to copyright, but there'll be a link below to another site where if you want to watch it with the music, jump on it.
Exactly.
Or if you just want to see what we think of everything, just stick around right here on YouTube.
Yes, sir. And all that to say, man, it's time for this list. We got number 10 going 1987. We're going, as you can see, pop it up on the screen. Check it out.
From the Lonesome Jubilee album. This is the 3rd single from that album. It went to number 14.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to this one. By Mr. Mellencamp, coming in at number 10. I know you were familiar with this one, Dad. What are your thoughts on it? I guess I'll go my
You go your thoughts first, yeah.
Definitely, which I think we're going to, I mean, I already kind of knew this, but definitely has that big Springsteen influence, I think, not only vocally, but, content-wise as well. I could see Bruce kind of writing something like this, man, which I think is a compliment to Mellencamp for sure. Because we start off 1,000,000 young poets screaming out their words to a world full of people just living to be heard. Future generations riding on the highways that we built. I hope they have a better understanding. So I like that the protagonist here, he's from an older generation, kind of then looking at how he is still living his life. And also kind of looking ahead to the future and the future generations and hoping that the world will be a little bit better while also hoping that they don't forget who helped pave the way for them.
Yeah, and then he just goes through kind of life, man. What happens? We get the whole, the famous, it sticks in your head, the check it out. Going to work on Monday, got yourself a family, all utility bills have been paid. You can't tell your best buddy that you love him.
I like that line.
Where does our time go? Got a brand new house in escrow. Sleeping with your back to your loved one. This is all that we've learned about happiness. So he just kind of rolls through stuff, and it's just
getting too drunk on Saturdays, playing football with the kids on Sundays. And this is all that we've learned about living. And then it goes back to that 1,000,000 young poets screaming out their words. Maybe someday those words will be heard by future generations riding on the highways that we built. Maybe they'll have a better understanding. Hope they'll have a better understanding. That was my favorite part of the tune. And then he had that electric guitar going in, man.
It's a fantastic song. I don't know what you think of it, but it's a fantastic.
No, I think it's really good, man. And I think a good way to start off the record, and that'll take us now to number 9.
Yeah, and this is the only song in here. I own this album, Scarecrow. It's a very famous album, and it will pop up again and again on this top 10 list. But I don't. It's 1985 when this came out, so 14-year-old Sean didn't listen to a lot of full cassettes back in the day, all the way through. But Minutes to Memories, supposedly has a long conversation with a stranger on a bus. The wisdom imparted by the stranger sticks with him for decades to come with this songwriter. So let's not to be just kind of cliched here, but let's check it out. Right? I'm sure I played this album through a few times. The song, I don't remember it though at all. So it's interesting because it's the only song, as you mentioned, on this top 10 that I don't know. Great story, as I expected, and kind of how things come full circle. The young songwriter, listens to the old man, but doesn't do everything that he should do that the old man told him. Because, who listens to every piece of advice someone gives you, especially a stranger? And then when he reflects on it later in life, he's like, man, would have saved myself a lot of issues if I would have listened to what the old man said.
That's true, man. I like, because the old man was saying, I'm 77, and with God as my witness, I earned every dollar that passed through my hands. My family and friends are the best thing I've known. Through the eye of the needle, I'll carry them home. I really enjoyed that.
That was a great line because, the man's saying when he goes to heaven, the eye of the needle. And then the chorus was fantastic. You mentioned there, days turn to minutes and minutes to memories. Life sweeps away the dreams that we have planned. You are young and you are the future, so suck it up and tough it out and be the best you can. I think that's fantastic. That's a fantastic verse, man.
Oh, definitely, man.
Basically sums up what I tell you at 49.
No, absolutely. And then, as it keeps going, the old man had a vision, but it was hard for me to follow. I do things my way, and I pay a high price. That's the youngster talking. And then now he's older, though. When I think back to the old man in the bus ride, now that I'm older, I can see he was right. And that just kind of brings the song kind of to climax there. So I dug this one, I think, more than the first track we did. But I still like both of them. But yeah, man, great storytelling there.
Yeah, we're going to stick with this album, Scarecrow. We're going to go to Lonely All Night. Trey's the lead single, went to 6 in the U.S. Title was inspired by a scene in the 1963 film HUD, starring Paul Newman, based on a book by Larry McMurtry. Mellencamp had seen the film many times as a young man. His portrayal of Newman's character's strained relationship with his father affected Mellencamp deeply, inspiring many of his song ideas. Trey, this is a song that back in the day, for some reason, really resonated with me. I wore this thing out. So let's get it.
All right, number 8, Lonely All Night, man. We mentioned it in the reaction, but shout out to Kenny Aronoff on the drums, man. Lots of power in there.
Yeah, I was telling you, we watch a show on Access TV called Top 10 that Kenny's on all the time.
That's right.
This is Kenny's work, and he's got a reason to be proud of what he's doing. What do you think of this song?
I dug it, man. I like, again, the storytelling in here. Some cool one-liners, I thought. And I don't know if I liked it as much as the previous two, but it's still a really good song.
Yeah, I thought it had the most catchy chorus of what
it definitely did
so far.
No, it definitely did. I like that. It's a lonely all night, and then custom made for two lonely people like me and you. And then he mentions radio, playing softly, some singer sad song. He's singing about standing in the shadows of love. A little
shout out to the Four Tops, man.
Yeah, that's right. Which there will be a top 10 of them coming up on the channel at some point.
That's right.
But and then in the bridge, she calls me baby. She calls everybody baby. It's a lonely all night, but ain't they all? That was probably my favorite.
Yeah, I thought that was good too. So it's basically about a hookup. Like, it's lonely, and like, you're lonely, I'm lonely. Might as well. Why not?
So, man, good choice there. And now we go to Small Town, also off of this record. Went to 6 in the U.S. Wrote it about his experiences growing up in a small town in Indiana, having been born in Seymour, Indiana, and he lived in Bloomington, Indiana. He said, quote, "I wrote that song in the laundry room of my old house. We had company, and I had to go write the song, and the people upstairs could hear me writing, and they were all laughing when I came up. They said, 'You got to be kidding me.' What else can you say about it?"
And then he later went on, a few years later, and was telling the Wall Street Journal he had written the lyrics using an electronic typewriter that beeped whenever he misspelled the word. So that's why, which had amused the people listening upstairs. However, they were silenced when he played the song to them. And then in 2013, he told Rolling Stone magazine, And I thought, this kind of sums up John. I wanted to write a song that said, you don't have to live in New York or Los Angeles, live a full life or enjoy your life. I was never one of those guys that grew up and thought, I need to get out of here. It never dawned on me. I just valued having a family and staying close to friends. Wow, that's some great stuff. This song is absolutely iconic.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to it, man. That was my favorite up to this point.
All right, good, man.
I think it's a cool feat to look at the differences in his songwriting ability. Here, he just took those two words, small town, and was able to work it in, at the end of a lot of the lines here, and build the story off of that, of course. And I thought, again, kind of it had that authentic mid-'80s kind of contemporary rock type of vibe to it in its sound, and just has a timeless subject matter, I guess, because I can think of some towns. I was born in a small town myself, Clovis, New Mexico. Shout out. But most of my life I haven't lived in any small towns. So it's still, though, in going through Texas and New Mexico,
right,
we come across a lot of these towns that could fit this description.
And I've lived in a lot of small towns and big towns in my life. I think one of the things I really enjoy about this song is it's the opposite of almost any other song that's been written about coming of age.
Yeah.
I got to get out of this place. I got to go make some of myself. I don't really need to do that, because what is making some of yourself? Becoming fame and fortune? He realizes that really doesn't matter at the end of the day. I've said this before, but I've never seen a man on his dying deathbed ask for a stockbroker, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about the family and friends, man. And so just great songwriting.
No, and he's even authentic and honest with it. Another boring romantic, that's me. And I mean, I think that's fine, man. He did marry an LA doll and brought her to the small town, though. Now she's small town just like me. So his small town influence is rubbing off, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I like the line, "I got nothing against a big town." So he's not throwing stones. He's just saying, look, I'm fine here, man. Don't feel bad for me. I'm actually very comfortable here.
No, man, I definitely enjoyed that one. That might make the next or my top 3 that we do at the end. But I know this one's going to be tough to beat.
Because this is one of the 2 songs that you knew coming in.
Great tune. One of his more famous songs. We got Jack and Diane from a few years prior. We got American Fool, 1982. Spent 4 weeks at number 1, his most successful single, and it was chosen by the RIAA as one of the songs of the century. And as you mentioned this earlier, Dad, we did a song battle with this and Hurt So Good that y'all can check out after this if you want.
Yeah, it's back when he was still known as John Cougar.
That's right.
It was based on the 1962 Tennessee Williams film Sweet Bird of Youth. He said of recording the song, Jack and Diane, it was a terrible record to make. He said, when I play it on guitar by myself, it sounds great, but I can never get the band to play along with me. That's why the arrangement's so weird, stopping and starting. It's not very musical. He also stated the clapping, which is so iconic about the song,
right.
we used only to help keep time and was supposed to be removed in the final mix. But when he heard it, he realized if they removed it, the song wouldn't work. In 2014, remember, this was released in 82. In 14, he revealed that the song was originally about an interracial couple where Jack was African American, not a football star, but was persuaded by the record company to change it. Producer and guitarist Mick Ronson worked with Mellencamp on this album, in particular on Jack and Diane, and he said in 2008 in an interview with Classic Rock magazine that Mellencamp recalled about Mick. Mick was very instrumental in helping me arrange that song, as I'd thrown it on the junk heap. Ronson came down and played on 3 or 4 tracks and worked on the record for several weeks. All of a sudden, for Jack and Diane, Mick said, "Johnny, you should put Baby Rattles on there." I thought, what the F does put Baby Rattles on the record mean? So he put the percussion on there, and then he sang the part, "Let It Rock, Let It Roll," as a choirish type thing, which had never occurred to me. And this is the part everybody remembers on the song. It was Ronson's idea. I know that was a big, but this song is so iconic.
No, I like
it is
that
very different musically, just with all the different stuff. And I love that John threw out the kudos to Mick on this one.
Number 6, Jack and Diane. Obviously, we're both very familiar with it, but man, it just stands the test of time. Stands repeat listens.
Man, it does. 1982, and it holds up in 2020 at the time of us filming this. And I talked about it at the start. Can you imagine you even get it on the last little outro of not having not only the clapping, but the starts and stops?
No, you're right. It's
because every time it stops, I don't know if you notice this, but every time it stops, it's the way your body's built, especially your auditory system. When something's going and it stops, you naturally like lean forward
you
and you
perk
listen
up,
more
you're
carefully.
like-
It's why good public speakers will start to talk more quiet at parts
Mm-hmm.
because then people start to pay attention when they want to make a big point.
No,
So
that's
anyway,
true, man. And
that's a very smart way that kind of works on your listening.
no, and that is maybe one of the reasons it is so timeless, and even just has that unique structure
Yes.
in the songwriting here, man. And I think it just works perfect. On top of just having a story that again everybody can kind of relate to,
Yeah.
growing up type of deal. Especially whenever I didn't know that he originally was going to write about the interracial
Yeah.
love. Now, whenever you kind of read that into it,
You
can
kind of see it more.
for sure. But in that chorus, man, for something that's so catchy, like kind of a downer.
Well, it is. Oh, yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. I say, oh, yeah. Say, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. Now walk on. So pretty much you hit your peak, you have your fun, and then it sucks afterwards.
it's
I've
like,
yet to
oh, man.
I've yet to experience that at 49 and hope that I never do. But a very intelligent way of kind of putting that in there, I think, to add some seriousness to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like the holding on to 16 as long as you can. That bridge at the end was pretty darn cool too. We covered this track, I know, in the song battle we did, but man, it's a timeless classic, man. I'm glad to see it this high up on the list, and now we're gonna enter our top half of the list.
We are, Trey. You got to be careful around here because I don't know. I heard some stuff, and I don't know if the walls are crumbling down, my man, or not. But number 5, Crumbling Down, off the classic from 1983. John finally got to use his real last name of Mellencamp. Iconic cover on that.
No, yeah, that struck me too. I was like, okay, there you go, John.
The lead single, top 10 in the U.S. and Canada, and written by John and his longtime writing partner and childhood friend George Green. It was the last song recorded for What happened was John listened to all the masters and said, you know what? I need to write a lead single here. So he contacted Green, who'd helped him write some stuff, mainly Hurts So Good.
Oh.
And so what do you think? And Green said, hey, man, I've been working on a song about the walls come crumbling down. So what they did was they started just trading lines, attempting to top each other. And Green says the song attempts to answer the question of what to do when success eventually fades. And, quote, the big time deal falls through. Song touches on Mellencamp's fame as well as the frustrations of losing one's livelihood. Lyrics were inspired in part by John's cousin losing his job as an electrical engineer. And then John said later on that Crumbling Down is a very political song that I wrote with my childhood friend George Green. Reagan was president. He was deregulating everything, and the walls were crumbling down on the poor. And as we talked about, John stayed in Indiana the majority of his life, so he got to see that.
See that up close and personal and affect him.
Which is another kind of line you draw. You mentioned Springsteen on the first song on Check It Out. You saw the songwriting.
Yeah.
Springsteen lives 10 minutes from his childhood
That's
home.
right,
Like
yeah.
they stay there and
Have those roots.
Gives them a more grounded songwriting base. So I'm very familiar with this one. But,
All right,
you've
well,
never heard it.
I'm looking forward to this, and our next 2 tracks are also off this record. Just
Look at you giving away things.
Hey, I gotta
Look at you.
give the little tease out, So let's get Crumbling Down. Opening tune off of this record, and man, they started it off. Don't let the album cover fool you, man, because John coming in bringing some fire on the lyrical content here, and that I really, that's one of my favorite choruses we've heard at this juncture as well.
Yeah, it really sticks in your head. I was curious to what you thought of a great story too, as you're going to experience. Just a good rock and roll song, man. Guitars are fantastic, drums are fantastic, power in the voice, power in the chorus. Just a really well put together song.
And those are some of the traits I like in my openers for a rock and roll record, man. Let's get some let's get some rock and roll going with our first track, man. Kind of tell us what we got ahead. And I even like what you can tell he's coming in a little more, I don't know if aggressive is the right term.
I think it is a little edgy.
Edgy, I like that. Some people ain't no damn good. You can't trust them. You can't love them. No good deed goes unpunished. And I don't mind being their whipping boy. I've had that pleasure for years and years. No, I never was a sinner. Tell me what else can I do? Second best is what you get till you learn to bend the rules. And so I think he's just kind of showing the crumbling down of society around him, and how he's kind of in the middle of that, in that maybe small town
Yeah, exactly. And he goes on, and time respects no person. What you lift up must fall. They're waiting outside to claim my tumbling walls. The man is coming to get you.
That's right, man. So really dug that one, and we're just gonna stay with this record. We're going to number 4 on the list,
And number 3 on that. So he starts off with Crumbling Wall or Crumbling Down, and then he has another song, and then he goes to Authority. So this song is on that same avenue, what you said,
right.
edgy and that sort of stuff. So yeah,
sweet Authority song. Again, we kind of fade out with the the music just getting real quiet at the end. I kind of like that technique there, and man, I dug this song. I think I liked it more than Crumbling Down.
I was wondering.
Probably because that guitar riff was so catchy. Had that, you mentioned this in the reaction, to had that 50s almost rockabilly type of guitar sound to it, and a big strength of Mellencamp, I think, is those anthemic choruses that come in that you just want to sing along to and you can learn really quickly, and this song was no different.
And he changes up his vocal delivery ever so slightly on different things. Like he had a much different, he had more of a pause, stop and pause on Crumbling Down, and then on this one it's more of a smooth rolling. And I don't know that this song's autobiographical, but as many artists back in the day, this song also went to number 15 on the charts. I didn't mention at the start. A lot of artists back in the day clashed with the record companies.
That's right.
So, he went and got a record deal and got his first album, and he didn't even know they called him John Cougar until he got the album, and he's like, wait a minute, what? I'm not going to be John Cougar in this. Or you're going to be John Cougar. We're just going to nix your deal.
The Authority's always winning,
So I
man.
said, I guess I'll be John Cougar. So this album, he actually became John Cougar Mellencamp. Because after the previous album with Hurt So Good and Jack and Diane, so he had a little bit of power, and then after this album goes over, he's able to go to his John Mellencamp. But so I think there's a little autobiographical stuff here, So I mean, it's a fantastic song.
No, and I like that. I call up my preacher. I say, give
great.
me strength for round 5. He said, talking about the preacher, you don't need no strength. You need to grow up, son. And then John replies, well, growing up, it leads to growing old and then to dying. Oh, and dying to me don't sound like all that much fun, and so I'll say I fight authority. Authority always wins. So man, really fun song all in all, even though again, that subject matter is kind of masked in that catchiness.
But I like in the chorus he says, well, I've been doing it since I was a young kid. I come out grinning.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
He's like, I know I'm going to lose, but part of it's just fighting it. He enjoys it, and I think a lot of people are that way.
And no, man, I dug it. And now we're gonna stay with this record. We had track 1 on we had track 3. Now we're doing track 2 from that on the house, or on the track listing. We got Pink Houses coming in. Went to 8 in the U.S. In the Rolling Stones top 500 greatest songs of all time. It was inspired when Mellencamp was driving along an overpass on the way home to Bloomington from the Indianapolis airport. There was an old black man sitting outside his little pink shotgun house with his cat in his arms, completely unperturbed by the traffic speeding along the highway in his front yard. He waved and I waved back. That's what Mellencamp said. That's how Pink Houses started. And he stated many times that he's unhappy with the song's final verse. In October 2014, he said, a long time ago, I wrote a song called Pink Houses. Now when I hear that song, all I can think is, why didn't I do a better job on the last verse? If I had written it today, the last verse would have more meaning.
Okay, well, I mean, I know this song, but now I got to pay attention to this last verse.
Well, man. Well,
So what a great story, man.
No, for real, man. It seems like a lot of his tunes are like that, just taken from tidbits in his life, which, I mean...
And this poor guy's sitting outside going, man, probably if this is an old shotgun house, just a little bitty house that he was probably there long before the end. He's probably like... similar to the area we live, the city we live in had 6,000 people in the year 2000. Now it has 200,000. So there's a lot of people around here.
That boom.
It's like, what happened, man? I just wanted it to be peaceful.
Right. Pink House is bringing it, man. Again, another track that I enjoyed. I'm trying to think. Which of the 3 on is your favorite? I'm trying to think if this is it or Authority song.
I think Authority song is, but man, I'm already thinking of the top 10 or the top 3 favorites that we always pick. I don't know, man.
Got gonna be a tough one. That's
I'm
for
interested.
sure.
What do you think? I mean, because it's interesting with you going through these. Like you said, we never had a list where I'm very familiar with it, and you're not.
Authority song might be just edging out this
Barely.
one, Pink Houses. Again, I quite enjoyed the chorus with kind of that the choir in the background. Really, really catchy and cool. And again, broken record with the anthemic nature of it. Again, kind of builds characters in the tune that you can like think, oh yeah, I know somebody like that.
Exactly.
Like the young man in a t-shirt listening to a rock and roll station. He's got his greasy hair, greasy smile. He says, Lord, this must be my destination. Because they told me when I was younger, saying, boy, you're going to be president. But just like everything else, those old crazy dreams just kind of came and went.
Then you look around, you're at that point in your life going, where
Like,
I guess this is it.
And I mean, third verse wasn't the best verse John ever penned or anything, but I still thought it was pretty solid way to.
I bet though he looks back on it and goes, I could have really made a heck of a point here, but still good.
And I mean, I like that whenever artists are honest and aren't afraid to get a little. I mean, the song I don't view as like crazy controversial, but I'm sure to some people it is. Taking just an honest lens to America a little bit, and that's something I appreciated here by John, man. And now we're in our top two, and I know for many this is probably going to be in the one.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. People are going to think this is one.
One of his most famous tunes. We got "Hurts So Good." The only other song on here besides Jack and Diane I was familiar with, "American Fool," 1982.
Went to 2 in the U.S., but it was kept out by "Eye of the Tiger" by Survivor, the old Rocky III power.
When you're going against that, it's tough.
But it spent 16 weeks in the top 10, the longest time for any song in the 80s. Yet it didn't hit number 1. Wow. But it did win him Best Rock Vocal Performance, a Grammy, and is 83 on Billboard's Greatest Songs of All Time. Written by John and, here he pops up again, George Green.
George Green, balling, man.
Mellencamp's childhood friend, as we mentioned earlier. The song was first conceived, Mellencamp claims, when he had uttered the phrase, "Hurt So Good." He repeated the lines to old George, and they finished the song very quickly. So, I had chose this for you, which I'll get to later, but I mean, I love Cougar back in the day.
That's right.
Mellencamp. And wanted to know what you thought of the Jack and Diane and "Hurt So Good." So that's why you know this song.
Just a legendary Mellencamp track right here. Another one of those first 5 seconds, just that legendary,
Oh man,
opening and intro that you just know it right away and you're ready to "Hurt So Good."
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, it's sing along song. This whole list for me is like just being at a concert because I know all these songs so well. So.
And again, kind of has that chorus that's it's not as not as depressing as the Jack and Diane one, but still it's like "Hurts so good, come on baby, make it hurt so good," because sometimes love don't feel like it should. You make it hurt so good. The heart is getting broken in these choruses, man.
It is for sure.
But I mean I know we went more in depth in that song battle on it, but I mean this is just a legendary song, not only for Mellencamp, but I think of the 80s.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah, I definitely think so.
It's one of those that has kind of stood the test of time and still resonates with people. Again, still has that subject matter that will hit people. Just because it's timeless. So, and again, really enjoy the claps up in there as well. But good choice for number 2. That's gonna end up in my top 3 favorites. And now we're gonna go to the number 1 song. Taking it 1985 on the Scarecrow record with "Rain on the Scarecrow."
Yeah, an interesting pick for number 1. Not saying Rich is wrong on it, just an interesting pick that I don't think a lot of people would have because this song is not nearly anthemic and more really just political. But John said, I wrote this one once again with George Green.
George Green, man.
Our songs always came about the same way. Talk around the kitchen table. I just played Small Town for him. He said, I don't know why these towns are going out of business. We couldn't figure out why they were disappearing. We did our research and wrote this song. Reagan had been using grain against the Soviet Union and all sorts of other things. Talking to people was heartbreaking. Nobody wanted to lose their farm. And incidentally, this is the year that Live Aid was also, or Farm Aid.
That's right.
Was also launched in here. So it's a story I think that's near and dear to his heart. And when he's talking about researching and then go around and talk to people, it's 1985, man. You're not hopping on the internet and figuring these things out. You actually got to go talk to people, and they saw what was going on.
Those real life, people and stories, yeah.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Sweet. Well, I'm looking forward to this, and afterwards, y'all, we'll do our three favorite tracks. All right, number one, coming in very powerful, "Rain on the Scarecrow." And man, a lot to discuss on this tune, but I quite enjoyed it. Shoot, man, it might make a run for my top three favorites because it was. I mean, it still had that kind of Mellencamp vibe to it, but it was definitely a darker tone. Just
darker. I like the instrumentation was very strong.
Yeah,
forceful. It was everything it needed to be. His delivery was very strong. You could tell John was being serious. There was no smile on his face, so to speak, when he was singing this. And it tells a fantastic story. It tells what we talked about at the beginning. Basically, you know, they're coming to foreclose on the farm. It's been in his family forever.
Yeah, he mentions, like, it kind of puts you in that place where his grandpa cleared this land. When I was 5, I walked the fence while grandpa held my hand. So it's that family ties, that connection.
Yeah, and telling his son, I'm sorry. And son, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's no legacy for you now. Talking about, there's 97 crosses for the 97 families that lost their farm. I don't want to get political, but if you're watching this, then you probably agree with this song, or you at least understand it. I was alive and well in 1985. I was 14 years old, and I would say over the last decade, really, Trey, over like the last 5 or 6 years, there's been a huge revisionist history on the 8 years that Ronald Reagan was in the White House, and propping him up as one of the greatest presidents ever. But this stuff in this song, it was happening everywhere to common folk, man, and that's why I know this is a point where, if he came out with it now against certain administration people, they'd ostracise him too. And I think this is where, some people turned against John because of this.
The political, And I mean, that's that's why I respect artists who go out and, kind of get serious. And I mean, people call it getting political. Well, this is real life that was happening to people John knew,
around him,
so
but the person who always tells you on social media, I don't want my so-and-so to be political. Well, you work it wherever, and you're being political. So what's the difference?
I think they have the right, and you have the right to not listen, however you want. So and I like he's talking about the guy who came to foreclose, saying, "John, it's just my job." I like how he called him John too. It really just kind of brought in that.
Like I've known this guy.
It's just my job, and I hope you understand. And then John says, "Well, hey, calling it your job, ol' hoss." I like that. Sure, don't make it right, but if you want me to, I'll say a prayer for your soul tonight.
Yeah, that was just unbelievable, man.
And then he notes that some nights I feel like dying, like that Scarecrow in the rain. Just thought it was very powerful. Oddly enough, some of that guitar reminded me a little almost Cure-like gothic post-punk guitar, which isn't something I put with Mellencamp, but it worked well. And Kenny on the drums killed it, man, yet again. Very, very powerful tune, which I guess will transition us into our favorite tracks of this list, man. There's a lot that you could choose for sure. And I guess I'll go first since, I'm the newbie to this list.
Yeah, you go first.
I'm going to go with, just since, it's fresh in my mind, but I also think it was one of the 3 best tunes. I got to go Rain on the Scarecrow. I just love the message behind it and instrumentally. Hurts So Good, I got to go too. Just the catchiness to it, and I was already familiar, so that probably has something to do with it.
Of course.
And then I'm gonna give some. I do really love Jack and Diane. It very well might be my 3rd favorite, but I want to give some love to another track that was new to me, and I'm gonna go Small Town. Though the way Mellencamp was able to utilize just that phrase "small town" and that repetition in there, and talking again obviously about the small town and building it up, and just being honest with that was something that I resonated with and appreciated. But there were a lot on here. Authority song was killer as well, and man, very, very awesome top 10 list, Rich.
Yeah, Rich. I mean, this is by far the list that we've done so far. I think this is our 19th or 20th top 10 list. This is the one I know the songs the best off of. I knew every song but one, and those 9 I know really well. So this is the toughest for me by far. I'm going to go with Rain on the Scarecrow, Hurts So Good, an Authority song, with a shout out, really to all of them, but to check it out. The number 10 song is a fantastic song.
Yeah, kind of hidden
The
gem.
lyricism on there and just the way it's arranged. The only song he picked off the Lonesome Jubilee off '87, and I think Rich said it too. He said this 4-album run is really good. And he picked those songs off that 4 albums, and I think for me, growing up and during this era, John is the single artist I would pick out who history forgets for some reason.
That's a good point.
Like John's fantastic. I mean, I mentioned he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Songwriting Hall of Fame. He is just really, really good, and he just doesn't get mentioned and kind of gets set aside as an 80s guy.
That's right.
His lyricism's great. These songs are still relevant today, and just a fantastic choice.
No, man, you said it well, Dad. Just for me as a first time, kind of diving in. Yeah, I was very taken by, the fact that he's very honest. I appreciated the honesty in all these tunes. You can definitely tell that he, and maybe that's one of the reasons he was so beloved, especially at his time, because whenever somebody rises up from a small town, you kind of like that becomes your guy, whether it's in sports or entertainment, music, whatever the case is. And whenever it didn't seem like Mellencamp let the fame get to his head. He remembered his roots, remembered who we grew up with, where he grew up, and I appreciate that authenticity there, and love the instrumentation too. The anthemic like choruses, very catchy. You can learn them like that. That's another thing I appreciated, man. And yeah, he definitely wears some of his influences on his sleeve, Springsteen in particular, and yet he's able to use that to make his own type of style, which is something that's hard to do sometimes whenever you want to show love to your influences, and then you just become like a lesser carbon copy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I believe you're right there. He never did that. I'm real curious. I hope this video doesn't prove my point, not because I want views, but just because I want people to see this. But I wonder how many views this is going to get. I'm real curious in comparison to some of the other artists that we put up, because I think, like I said, I think people kind of write off John as, he's the Hurt So Good guy and don't understand that there's so much depth there.
Oh, definitely, man. Well, this was a very fun list to do. Shout out again to Rich. Be sure to give him some love in the comments, and of course, let us know your top 10 John Mellencamp tunes down in the comment section. Dad, always appreciate the research.
Great, man.
And until next time, y'all, thanks for watching. Happy listening, and we will see you.